We've got here is a 1998 to 2012 Ford Crown Victoria front driver's side door panel. We have speaker pod provided by CustomSpeakerPods.com. I'm going to show you how to install it, show you how easy it is. Hang out. When I make my speaker pods, I make the cutout diameter for the speaker on the smaller side to accommodate the majority of speakers. If by chance you order your pod, you have your speaker, you receive your pod, you notice that the speaker does not fit in the pod. What can we do? So, remove the speaker, kind of estimate about how much material you need to remove. Use your pencil, draw out a line the whole way around, like so. Then using sanding drum on your rotary tool, remove the material up to the line. Now that we have the excess material removed, we can test the fitment of the pod, or the speaker in the pod. Make sure it fits well. If you'd like to avoid the sanding process and removing of material to make sure your speaker fits correctly, if you know the diameter of the cutout, please include that in the comments section of the order form, and I'll make sure to cut it the correct size so when you receive it you do not have any additional modifications to perform. We have a speaker pod that is a standard 6.5 inch single. First step for installation is to place the pod on the door panel using your pencil and applying firm pressure to the speaker pod. Mark all of the mounting holes. Now we use our drill with appropriate drill bit. Drill the mounting holes. Make sure you stay centered in the mark. Now using our rotary cutter with the rotary cutting bit installed at a medium speed, we will cut the openings required to mount the speaker. Notice I have multiple holes here. I have holes marked for the standard 6.5 inch, as well as holes marked for the dual 6.5 inch. I'm going to start by doing the hole only for the 6.5 inch single. Keep in mind also the hole does not need to be clean or a good cut as long as the speaker has enough room to mount through. Remove any debris, material. You can use some sandpaper to clean that up if you would like. And then vacuum accordingly. Now we need to do a test fit to ensure that everything will fit correctly. So I'll place the pod onto the door panel. Take your speaker, place it onto the pod. Now, concern we have is that the speaker magnet is too deep for the single cut that we made on the top surface here, so we'll have to cut further into the door panel. So, very simply, again, we will trace out what we need to cut, kind of just eyeball it. And using our rotary cutter again, place the pod, place the speaker. Still not fitting. I didn't make the hole big enough, so we will come back once again, make it larger. So we have our clearance holes cut in the door panel. We have now the speaker pod that has been cut to fit the speaker. What we'll do, take a razor knife, kind of clean up some of these edges just to get all the goo off of there from sanding and cutting. A little bit. Then take the speaker pod, place it onto the door panel. One more test fit to make sure that everything fits snug and nice. Perfect. After test fitting the speaker into the speaker pod with the pod placed onto the door panel, before we go any further, let's go ahead and get the speaker ready to mount. So we'll place the speaker on the door pod, mark the speaker mounting holes. Of course, remove the speaker so we do not drill into it. Then, using our drill and the correct size drill bit that we have determined to be the same as the root diameter of the screws we're using to install the speakers into the speaker pod, drill the whole center of the mark. We can then place the speaker to make sure the holes are in the correct location. Once we verify the holes are in the correct location, we can then mount the pod to the door panel using the supplied hardware. So all of our screws and nuts. Let's place the screws in. Now the screws have been installed into the speaker pod through the door panel. We can then go from the back side and install all of the nuts onto the back of the screws. Now it is important to note that when tightening the nuts onto the screws, do not torque or apply too much force to it. Apply just enough to get the nut cinched down to get the plastic pieces connected. If you over tighten it, you may risk splitting the plastic of the door pod or the door panel. Now we have the speaker pod secured to the door panel. We have the holes drilled to mount the speaker into the speaker pod. Final step, place the speaker, line up your holes, and then very carefully, using a Phillips head screwdriver or whatever driver that has come with the screws or you need for your screws, install the screws. Again, do not over tighten, just enough to ensure that the speaker is fastened completely to the speaker pod. Now that all 4 screws have been fastened down, the speaker is in place. Completes your installation.